Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Those, the immortal words of one Scott Hall when he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2014. Tonight, as part of this latest edition of Ridiculously Raw, we pay our respects and celebrate the life and the career and the legacy of Scott Hall. Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and the phenom Michael Bullock, fresh off another one of our legendary Raw chats as usual. Never easy to have to start a show like this, but unfortunately, we have to start the show like this. Earlier this evening, Scott Hall, better known to all in the WWE universe as Razor Ramon, passed away at the age of 63. He recently suffered a fall, broke his hip, and this past Saturday suffered not one, not two, but 3 heart attacks. Was put on life support and then was taken off life support today. And unfortunately, he would pass away hours later. Tonight, in addition to what we always do here on Ridiculously Raw, we're going to pay our respects and share our favorite moments, and we're going to have a very special tribute of our own in just a little bit. But before we, pay our respects, let's, of course, run down his accomplishments and everything he did throughout his professional wrestling career. As soon as we get it here. All right. He was an AWA World Tag Team Champion with another late great who he will be reunited with. That being Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. DDT Pro Wrestling was an Iron Man heavy metalweight champion. Pro Wrestling Illustrated Match of the Year 1994 versus Shawn Michaels in the ladder match at WrestleMania 10. 1992 Most Improved Wrestler of the Year. Tag Team of the Year in 1997 with Kevin Nash as part of the Outsiders. Ranked number 7 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 1994. Ranked number 72 of the top 500 singles wrestlers of the PWI years in 2003. Ranked number 40 and number 98 of the top 100 tag teams of the PWI years with Kevin Nash and Kurt Hennig, respectively, in 2003. A one-time co-holder of the TNA World Tag Team Championship with Kevin Nash and Eric Young. They defended it with the via the Freebird rule as part of the band. A one-time United States Wrestling Association Unified World Heavyweight Champion. WCW, he was a one-time World Television Champion, a 2-time United States Heavyweight Champion, 7-time co-holder of the WCW World Tag Team Championship, 6 times with Kevin Nash, the other with the Giant, the Big Show, Paul White. And in 1997, he won the infamous World War III 60-man 3-ring Battle Royal. World Wrestling Council Caribbean Heavyweight Champion, Universal Heavyweight Champion for that same promotion, and then, of course, in the WWE, 4-time Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame not once but twice, 2014 for his singles career as Razor Ramon, and in 2020 as a member of the New World Order alongside Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Sean Waltman. He won 2 Slammy Awards, Most Spectacular Match in 1994 versus Shawn Michaels, the ladder match at WrestleMania 10. In 1996, won the Match of the Year Slammy with Shawn Michaels. The other ladder match, the rematch ladder match at SummerSlam 1995. Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Match of the Year in 1994. The ladder match with Shawn at WrestleMania 10. 1996, Best Gimmick as a member of the New World Order. And in 1998, got a dubious distinction. Most disgusting promotional tactic, WCW exploiting his alcoholism in a gimmick. But nonetheless, those just many of the accomplishments that that Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, had throughout his legendary career in the world of professional wrestling. And any wrestler who passes away, it hits close to home for all of us. But if I'm going to be honest with you, this one hits especially close to home, especially for myself and good old MF Michael Fletcher, because, you know, growing up during our junior high days, especially, we were huge fans of the NWO, especially Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, the Outsiders. I always pretended to be Scott Hall. MF pretended to be Kevin Nash. We used to do those promotional announcements, and those were, you know, some of the fun times we had back in our school days. And Dee Dee Woodson, our dear friend, mentioned it in our messenger chat. And this is something that I picked up on, especially with MF, and I've started even doing it with Bullock nowadays. You know, when they would hit me up, I would always say, "Hey, yo," or "Hey, yo."
Hey, yo.
Amen, Bullock. Amen to that. Dee Dee said she would never forget it. I'm right there with her. Hey, yo. Indeed. And another thing that he always used to do, how many of you came to see WCW? Boo. And then how many came to see the NWO? Survey says 1 more for the good guys. Another one of our favorite moments. But aside from that, of course, he debuted in the WWE. Now, I didn't know about any of his earlier stuff. You know, I didn't start watching wrestling until I was around 4 or 5 years old. He wasn't even there yet. He debuted in 92 as, you know, Razor Ramon. And, you know, the first match I ever saw him wrestle was that match at the 1992 Survivor Series when he teamed up with the Nature Boy Ric Flair against Mr. Perfect and the Macho Man Randy Savage, which was the first half of a double main event that went down that night. And one of the best wrestlers to never be the WWE or World Heavyweight Champion. He only had 1 shot at the WWE Championship that I know of. And that was against my man, Bret the Hitman Hart, at the 1993 Royal Rumble at the old Arco Arena in Sacramento, California. And he pushed Bret to the limit. He really did. And didn't get the Duke. And in 1997, he won the WCW World War III Battle Royal. MF and I know it very well. I don't know if Bullock knows about it, but the World War III Battle Royal in WCW, 3 rings, 20 men each. There was a 60-man altogether Battle Royal, 20 men in 3 rings. And the winner of that Battle Royal would earn a WCW championship match down the road. Scott Hall won that match at the World War III pay-per-view in 1997. And he obviously had to wait for Hulk Hogan and Sting to have their infamous match at the Starrcade a month later. But nonetheless, he can say he won one of those World War III Battle Royales. Those were not easy to win, let me tell you. And of course, when you think about this guy, you cannot help but think about those two legendary ladder matches that he had with Shawn Michaels. The WrestleMania 10 match, obviously the more well-known of the two. But, and I can understand that, rightfully so. But where's the love for the SummerSlam 1995 match? That was just as much of a 5-star classic as WrestleMania 10 was. And he and Shawn, I mean, if it wasn't for him and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10, the ladder match would not even be here. The ladder match, they would never do a ladder match if it wasn't for these two guys. If it wasn't for them, the ladder match wouldn't be what it is today. And look how much that ladder match has evolved thanks to those two setting the bar for regular ladder matches, and of course the Money in the Bank ladder match. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, and Shawn Michaels were the two reasons why that particular ladder match exists. So it's very sad, it's very heartbreaking, but you know, life goes on. And I usually do the in memory of photo, but Bullock and I quoted this. You know, we brought up this quote a lot during our Raw chat tonight, and I figured it was only fitting that I share this instead. So Bullock knows the rest of it, and I know he'll share it when we get to him. But for right now, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. And I'm gonna take it off for just a moment because there is one thing I do want to address, and that is, of course, the last thing I do want to address before I give it to MF, and that is Scott Hall. And this is another reason why this is close to home for me and MF. Not just the NWO, but the Clique. We know the Clique. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, and Scott Hall. And all members of the Clique paid their respects to their brother. That's a brotherhood, let me tell you. I mean, we all remember the infamous curtain call in Madison Square Garden when they broke character. And it was just as it was the last match they ever wrestled in WWE, and Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels were in the ring, and all four of them they had a group hug, and then they raised their arms together, and of course we'll definitely best remember that, obviously. And Night War, WWE and WCW, a December 2014 episode of that. And let's not forget when Scott Hall was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 30. I mean, they started a tradition with the Clique coming out and being a part of each other's inductions. It started when Shawn Michaels went into the Hall of Fame in 2011. But Scott Hall was not there because he was focusing on getting sober. When Scott Hall was inducted in 30, they came out and then did it again in 2015 when Kevin Nash went into the Hall of Fame. And that definitely hits close to home right there. So, but nonetheless, Kevin Nash on his Instagram, you know, he said it best. he very much said it better than any of us could. And I saw this and definitely got me going. Well, this was when he was on life support. He said, Scott's on life support. Once his family is in place, they will discontinue life support. I'm going to lose the one person on this planet I've spent more of my life with than anyone else. My heart is broken and I'm so very effing sad. I love Scott with all my heart, but now I have to prepare my life without him in the present. I've been blessed to have a friend that took me at face value and I him. When we jumped to WCW, we didn't care who liked or hated us. We had each other, and with the smooth Barry Bloom, we changed wrestling both in content and pay for those a lot that disliked us. We were the outsiders, but we had each other. Scott always felt he wasn't worthy of the afterlife. Well, God, please have some gold-plated toothpicks for my brother. My life was enriched with his take on life. He wasn't perfect, but as he always said, the last perfect person to walk the planet, they nailed to a cross. As we prepare for life without him, just remember, there goes a great guy. You ain't going to see another one like him again. See you down the road, Scott. I couldn't love a human being any more than I do you. Oh, if that doesn't get you, I don't know what does. And various, and the other Click members, Sean Waltman simply said, he's gone, with a sad-faced emoji. Triple H, he said it on his Triple H on his Twitter. He simply said, I'm gutted. Lost a brother. I love you, Scott. I'll see you down the road. Hashtag buddy system. And Shawn Michaels. Very simply said, I love you, my friend. And that's the word of Shawn Michaels. And another notable thing, Jarrett Payton, the son of Walter Payton, he shared a memory. You remember SummerSlam 1994, where Razor Ramon challenged Diesel Kevin Nash for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam 1994 at the United Center in Chicago. And Jarrett Payton joined his father and Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, for when he won the title. And Jarrett Payton said, hashtag RIP Scott Hall. I will forever remember this moment. Hashtag Razor Ramon, hashtag WWE, hashtag SummerSlam 94, hashtag WWF, hashtag Walter Payton, at Real Scott Hall. And I know there were other superstars, and another one, and one last one I want to share quickly before I get to MF, and that is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, who Razor Ramon, Scott Hall teamed up with at the 1992 Survivor Series against the Macho Man Randy Savage and Mr. Perfect. He said, Scott, you had an incredible career. As you know, we all respected you so much. Thank you for our friendship and for the greatest Survivor Series I was ever in. Rest in peace. With 3 prayer emojis. So it's very hard to lose, a talent that you grew up with and you had so much respect for. And, the 3 of us and, the gentleman who we recently cut ties with, we had our own version of the Click. And unfortunately, we cut ties with that one guy a couple months ago. Still breaks my heart to this day that it happened, but but obla da, life goes on, as they say, and that's what we moved on from that, and we sadly have to move on from this. So in the immortal words, like I always say, To Scott Hall, we simply say, on behalf of all of us here at the Wrestling Forum, our thoughts and our prayers and our condolences to your family, especially to your son Cody, and all of his friends and all of his fellow wrestlers that got to work with him, but especially the Clique: Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, and Sean Waltman. And also on behalf of all of us here, we simply say, as we always do, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for Scott Hall. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, you see the quote, and I'm going to toss it to you as I always did back in the day, and I'm going to do it again. Hey, yo.
Yeah, today's really been a rough day. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not even going to lay it on the line like Anthony Flayo did. He did it so eloquently. He did an incredible job with it. It's just been one of those days that you just want it to end. Honestly, I don't think there's anything left that could be said or was mentioned prior to the evening. The last few days has been a little rough for Scott Hall. I think we all can attribute it to that. The condition just got worse, and it got really bad earlier in the day. That was the first that we knew about, that there was a chance he's not going to make it. And it was early this morning when I read that post from Kevin Nash, and I think the realization started to set in. I know for myself, as as a reporter and as a guy who does this show, this is the worst news you want to hear. You never, ever, ever want to be like, guys, we got a problem here. And then we heard the news about that Scott was taken off the defibrillator around 4 p.m. And oddly enough, WWE was the first to report it to the whole world. I was a little hesitant to hear it. I think we all kind of were in scramble mode. We're like, wait a minute. It's coming from WWE. Do they know something we don't know? Did they know something that we didn't know? And we all immediately started running to our computers, looking for anything. Anthony said it, posted on Wikipedia. Immediately when he said Wikipedia had it, TMZ had it. And if you know about entertainment, anything that comes from Hollywood, if it comes from TMZ, 99% of the time it is accurate. They were the first to report the death of Michael Jackson. They were the first in the world to report the death of Kobe Bryant. And literally right on cue at 8:03 p.m., the article popped up on TMZ Sports that Scott Hall had passed away. So then, oddly enough, immediately after that, then you started hearing the tidal wave of report. The Score, which is a company that I follow, that I use as my internet, or I should say my provider to get the scores on my cell phone, they reported it. And then not even a minute later, not even 2 minutes later, ESPN jumped. And it was all over their .com. So they were saying something. Sean Ross Sapp said something, who is the first sports wrestling reporter in the world. He was the first to drop the news. So it's a gut shot. One of the hardest phone calls I had to make was, and I know he never wants me to say it or never wants me to We always had this very tight line about family, about mentioning them on air or in anything, out of respect and everything else. But the hey with it, I'm gonna break that rule right now. Forgive me for saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I called my father and I let him know what happened. I told him that I'm waiting for more news. I don't know. Yes, WWE posted it, but I haven't heard another source from it. So wait, hold on. And then literally 2 minutes later, I called him right back and I told him, no, it's WWE was right. The word got out. Scott Hall passed away at 63. And my dad was floored. He was like, wow. And he was saying that he was following the news. He followed them about that, that he had, about the hip surgery, and that there was complications. He heard about, all the stuff, and I pretty much filled him in the blanks of the remaining parts. That was that he was sent on the defibrillator, that he was on life support. They took it away from him earlier this afternoon, and the whole 9 yards. And just me and him reminiscing about Scott Hall and Razor Ramon, and from because he knew him more as Razor than as Scott Hall, as Anthony you eloquently talked about. I remember him debuting on Superstars of Wrestling in '92, working his way up. But the other thing was my extensive knowledge that actually he was actually the bodyguard, a roadie for Diamond Dallas Page. If you remember back in, I think it was like 1991, 1992, he was known as the Diamond Stud. He actually was working with Diamond Dallas Page. This was when Dallas Page had his little thing going. This was before he became the big megastar, had Kimberly Page, had Max Muscle, had that whole gimmick. He was still working it out. And as a matter of fact, I think the way that the Scott Hall Kevin Nash relationship was because of WCW. Because remember, Diamond Dallas Page had Vinny Vegas. That was the character of Kevin Nash. And then you had what they called the Diamond Stud. And that was Scott Hall's character back in WCW. This was early WCW days. This was when they had got away from the NWA. So this was, we're talking 1990, 1991, 1992. He left right around towards the end of 91 into 92, joined the World Wrestling Federation, became Razor Ramon, and the rest was history. Razor had such a great career that a lot of people thought, oh, he's going to be WWF for no pun intended, but WWF for life. But it was the money issue that he was about to leave, and that was when it was right around 95. It was about 94 into 95. That's when he was about to leave. That led to, Anthony, you mentioned it, that led to what is been affectionately called in front of the entire world the MSG incident. And that was the moment that they broke character in Madison Square Garden in New York. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. That was without a doubt the biggest moment in wrestling history. But boy, did it get Triple H and Shawn in big trouble in the eyes of WWF.
Not so much Shawn, but Triple H. He got the brunt of it more than anyone.
Oh, he got the brunt of it. Oh, yeah. Shawn couldn't because he was kind of like the golden boy back then. Yeah. So he was kind of the golden boy, but Hunter got buried.
He was supposed to win the King of the Ring.
Yeah.
And who ended up winning that, and who ended up really benefiting from it?
Yeah.
Stone Cold.
Austin. So yeah. So it was crazy how that could have led to what they did. But then obviously for Triple H, yes, he got buried at that point, but look at what happened to his career after. Hall of Fame career, no doubt about it. So, yeah, I mean, it is one of those great moments in wrestling history. The acquisition or the creation of the NWO. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hogan being the third man at the Bash at the Beach in 1996, still one of the most talked about moments in wrestling history, and a pinnacle moment for WCW at the time. So, I mean, you got that. You got, yes, there was, that alcoholism that he had, the hard times that he was going through with that. And without a doubt, the one man that really saved his life and really gave him extra years in his life, and this is not talked about, Anthony and Mike, it's Diamond Dallas Page. Dallas Page gave Scott Hall maybe an extra 5 to 7 years of his life, because there was a time that a lot of people thought he was going to die about 3 or 4 years ago. Honestly, truthfully. He was in such a downward spiral that a lot of people thought what happened today, they thought it was going to happen like 3 or 4 years ago. Like, it was that scary. He got to that point that I think we all were fearing this news. But Dallas Page saved him doing the DDP yoga by really helping him. And WWE gets they helped Scott Hall as well by trying to get him into the rehab, by trying to get him into those Alcohol Anonymous thing. And they really, really, really helped in that way. And Scott looked great. I think we all can openly admit, like, the last few years of Scott's life, he looked better. He looked more healthier. He looked phenomenal. I think we can all say that. He looked like he was in great shape. That's why today is so gut-wrenching, because he literally turned that corner and everything was going in the right direction for him. And then all of a sudden, this. And now what we're talking about. And to eulogize and to think about the memory of one of the greats, a visionary of the ladder match, a man who revolutionized the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. We talk about guys who have made the Intercontinental Championship relevant and everything else and was incredible with it. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall made the Intercontinental title and took it to heights that I don't think none of us ever thought would be even possible. You had the Ultimate Warriors. You had the Ravishing Rick Rudes. You had the Bret Harts. You had the Mr. Perfects. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, is one of the pioneers and one of the men that when you talk about the Intercontinental title, he's probably the first name off the list, off your mouth, saying that was a true Intercontinental champion. He is. It is hard to put into words how I'm feeling tonight. I know Anthony Florio, and I know you'll hear it from Michael Bullock in just a minute. as always, my thoughts and prayers are with the family. My thoughts and prayers are with the clique. Sean, Hunter, Kev, Shawn Michaels, I should say. Sean Waltman, Kevin Nash, Hunter, Triple H, or John Paul Levesque. And obviously, I also am gonna put that. I'm also gonna put DDP's name into that list because of the fact that I really feel DDP saved him as he has saved so many others. Um, and the eulogies and the tributes that has been going on for the last, I want to say, about almost 4 hours now since the death announcement, since we found out that he passed away right around 8 o'clock here tonight on the East Coast. Um, it's hard. I think you can hear it in my voice. I think you can hear it in my tone. Um, it's a tough day for wrestling, man. It's a heartbreaker. I know a lot of people were like, well, why didn't WWE do a 10-bell salute or something like that? Guys, they literally found out as the show started. I don't know if you could even have done anything at that point. I think for them to do the tribute video as fast as they did, to put that video out literally 2 hours into the show, and to make that like formal presentation and to do it that way, that's props to WWE, man. I don't even know how they would be able to have pulled it off at that fast of a ratio to clip all that together and to present that moving tribute. Look, no hate on WWE tonight, ladies and gentlemen. They absolutely nailed it with the tribute video, and I give a lot of credit to them here tonight. Um, there's really nothing more to say. Michael Bullock is yours, my friend.
Yeah, it's never easy to talk about a passing like this. I mean, especially this. I mean, after everything this, I mean, he made what the Intercontinental title was. I mean, he made it prestigious with some of the great matches, especially those two ladder matches he had with Shawn Michaels. I mean, those are some of the matches I'll always remember. And what about those promos he had when he first was getting ready to make his debut? I mean, those were freaking hilarious with them. And and it wasn't just the rivalries he had with Shawn Michaels. He also had rivalries with Macho Man Randy Savage when he made his debut. And also, he made the Sean Waltman, aka X-Pac, aka the 1-2-3 Kid, who he was today. Because guys, who was X-Pac and Sean Waltman or 1-2-3 Kid? What was he before that?
Before he beat Scott, before he beat Razor Ramon on that May 17th, 93 episode of Raw at the Manhattan Center, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he was your typical jobber.
Maker.
But that victory was what made what Sean Waltman was today, and why he's in the Hall of Fame with the NWO. And then, of course, that infamous moment where he invades WCW, and that's when the NWO formed. And yeah, like you said, he went through so much problems in his life. I mean, with the drinking and the drugs, and there were times we thought he was going to die from this. But like you said, Fletch, Diamond Dallas Page saved his life, and why he was so much better, and why then in 2014 he got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And then he goes in again, of course, as a member of the NWO. So all the great accomplishments he had, and he's another one of the greatest superstars to have never won the WWE Championship. So it's never easy, but my condolences go out to his family, his friends, his loved ones that knew him very, very well. So, and I'm going to use a quote that he used from the Hall of Fame that night. Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Those words couldn't have been said any better that night when he was inducted. So, all we can say is, we'll miss you, Scott Hall, and thank you for all the memories that you gave us. And Florio, we got to do this.
Yep, let me just set it up real quick, and then we'll get there. All right, just one moment. Just to Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, you were just too sweet.
Sweet. NWO for life.
Amen, brother.
We're gonna miss you, man. R.I.P. Like Mike Willick said, eloquently put, for life, forever, brotherhood. You're gonna be missed, man.
Amen, brother.
Amen. Amen. If it wasn't for the Click, I mean, we wouldn't be who we are today. I mean, we're basically the Click 2.0. That's who we are. Yes, we're one member less than we were before, but we're not gonna throw that all away. So, oh man, it's never easy. But I'll tell you what, due to time constraints, I'm not going to do a Tony's Take tonight out of respect for this. I'm going to push that back to next week. So we're just going to dive right on in to Monday Night Raw this evening as we continue on the road to WrestleMania 38 from the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida, on the USA Network as always. And we're just under 3 weeks away from WrestleMania 38, but WWE is not rushing to fill up the card just yet. It has been slowly adding a few bouts per week as we get closer to the show. Following the news that Stone Cold Steve Austin has accepted Kevin Owens' invitation to appear on his talk show during WrestleMania, KO showed up tonight to give his thoughts. After winning the Raw Tag Team Championships back from Alpha Academy in a 5-star instant classic last week, RK Bro decided to throw themselves a little party to celebrate their victory. Let's take a look at everything else that happened on this installment of Monday Night Raw. Including tonight, we are 3 Raws away from WrestleMania. So with all that being said, let's dive on in. We're only going to get into the relevant stuff, of course. It started off with an in-ring segment. Kevin Owens, short and sweet. And hey, he started his promo by saying, "Hey, yo," in the immortal words of Scott Hall. And he stunned a cameraman. So we're not going to, get too much into that. We started it off, non-title match, Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. Damian Priest wins the match 7 minutes and 35 seconds due to a distraction from Austin Theory. So the Prince and the Archer of Infamy wasted little time getting to work once the bell rang. They didn't go for basic lockups and counters. They came out of the gate swinging. While the match was fine, it never quite reached the level of their encounter from 2 weeks ago. The fact that Priest won in a relatively clean way was also a bit strange. It was a non-title bout, so the belt did not change hands. But WWE is obviously going to book another showdown for the title. Their next encounter will probably take place at WrestleMania. Overall, decent first match, but nothing to write home about. I could probably give this about maybe 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. But MF, classic case, by hook or by crook, Damian Priest been the champion. You know what that means? You got 2 words for you.
Yeah, championship committee moment, no doubt about it. But here's the thing, though. After that title match, maybe Austin Theory is the next in line for the title. I think what they might do is you might actually have Finn Balor successfully defend the title. Theory might be the next guy after, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, 2.5 stars for me. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 2.5 stars for me. I mean, this was a fine match. I mean, a little short for me, but I mean, yeah, it's a championship committee moment for Damian Priest, and he's going to get his rematch for that title at WrestleMania. So, and then, yeah, maybe after WrestleMania, Austin Theory could be next in line. So there's nothing more to say, Florio. Let's move on.
All right, this next match may have been a nothing match, but this was a match that, based on the interactions we saw last week, we wanted to see. And guess what? They gave it to us. We wanted it. We got it. Omos versus Commander Aziz. Omos won the match in an even 2 minutes. And what else is there to say, guys? I mean, we wanted it, and obviously it didn't live up to the hype. Obviously it was maybe 1 star at best, but I'm surprised they didn't decide to advertise this match in advance. And do they have someone else in mind to face Omos at WrestleMania, or if it's simple as him winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? But nonetheless, WWE definitely, I think they jumped the gun on a matchup like this, but it was kind of fun while it lasted. But, you know, it is what it is. So we'll just leave it at that. Liv Morgan versus Queen Zelina. Liv Morgan wins the match 2 minutes and 55 seconds. And this was about maybe 1.5 for the effort. But I'll say it like this, though, guys. I mean, the downward spiral for the women's tag team champions continues. And just as it was last week, Carmella was way more focused on her fiance, Corey Graves, who she ties the knot, who she'll be tying the knot with in a few weeks after WrestleMania. And it cost her team again. And there's definitely no question about that. They're going to be, they're definitely headed for a split. There's no question about that. They're obviously going to lose the titles. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Seth Rollins comes out, cuts a promo, talking about what he's going to do to get to WrestleMania. And he said, I want Kevin Owens to come out here. And he said, hey, Kev, you have a talk show. I'm going to have a talk show. And I want my guest to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that brings out Sonya Deville. And Sonya Deville books Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins for the main event. And if Seth Rollins won the match, Seth Rollins would replace Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins would get the talk show segment spot with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania Saturday. Then from there, we had the Mysterios against Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Return match from some time ago. Miz and Logan Paul were out on commentary. Mysterios win the match 3 minutes and 25 seconds. And they try to do a double 619, or as I call it, a 1238 on Logan Paul, but it was another example of 50-50 booking. Mysterios get the win after a fast-paced match that could have used a few extra minutes. It was fine, but it could have been a lot better. 1.5 to 2 on that. Don't worry, there's going to be some relevant stuff here. Well, now we do have something relevant to get into for a moment. It was announced today that that Queen Sharmell you know, the wife of Booker T, she's going to be going in. She's going to be the female inductee for the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. And, you know, all of us were definitely baffled by this decision. Now, thing is, she obviously doesn't have too many accomplishments. Her biggest accomplishment was not even in the wrestling ring. It was when she won the Miss Black America pageant in 1991. She does have an infamous honor, though, and according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, MF and I, this is something that we want to forget. The worst worked match of the year, Victory Road 2009 against former Survivor alumnus Jenna Maraska. Oh boy, was that a disaster. Ooh, that was a disaster. It doesn't even begin to describe it. Second worst match in TNA history. The only one that was worse than that was the Sting and Jeff Hardy disaster 2 years later. But story for another day. And obviously inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. So before I open it up for any quick thoughts, it was also announced that her husband, Booker T, will be inducting Sharmell into the Hall of Fame. And you know, when Booker inducts her, you know that induction speech or promo or whatever, you know that thing is going to be good. So, gentlemen, do you have a quick thought as Sharmell will be joining The Undertaker and Vader in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022?
Yeah, this one caught a lot of us by surprise because we were like, okay, who is it going to be? Look, it could be the Texas Connection because they're originally from Houston and it is going to be in Dallas. Look, Sharmell is probably not the most gifted or great performer. She was a former Nitro girl. That's how she got her start back in WCW. Then being literally the wife of Booker T. And I think it's because of the Queen Sharmell gimmick, because of how legendary she was with that gimmick alongside King Booker. I think that's what really got her to where she wanted it to be. Now, after she left WWE, she actually went on to be a mother. She actually has, I think, her and Booker has a couple of a kid or two, I believe. So now she's a wife, she's a mother, and I think that's really where it goes because of the fact that WWE's been so loyal to Booker T, or Booker T has been so loyal to WWE, I think this was their way of rewarding Sharmell with the greatest honor you can give to any individual by inducting them into the Hall of Fame. Even though I think we can openly admit there are so many other women that's more deserving, but we can't be that cynical or that evil. Still, to make the Hall of Fame is still an accomplishment that deserves to be recognized. Congratulations, Sharmell, for making the Hall of Fame. Michael Bullock, is yours.
Yeah, this was a little surprising, but like you said, Fletch, I mean, maybe it's because of how loyal they were to Booker T and all that. That's why Queen Sharmell got this honor. So, yeah, congratulations to Queen Sharmell, and yeah, now she joins Vader and The Undertaker in the Hall of Fame class of 2022. So, Florio, let's move on.
And move on we shall. Then from there, Edge. Michael Bullock, what can you say about this new Edge? New entrance theme, the same creepy lighting from last week. I don't know about you, but I'm digging this thing more and more every week.
I'm really digging it too. I mean, this new gimmick, this new entrance, I mean, this is just awesome. I mean, this really makes Edge more sick and more twisted than he already is after his heinous attack from weeks ago on AJ Styles. So yeah, AJ could be in for the fight of his life against this version of Edge. So great promo by Edge, and I'm going to say it now. Psychotic Edge is the best Edge. Florio, it's yours.
Amen to that, brother. There is no question about that. I mean, I mean, last week was one thing, but tonight they took it to another level. He's got a new entrance theme, which I freaking love. This creepy lighting, and he definitely and I'm glad that they finally had him cut a scathing heel promo here. He didn't really do that much last week, but he went after the fans this time around, and yeah, that was a vintage Psychotic Edge promo. But this new character, I don't know what else there is for me to say. So yeah, Michael Bullock's heading out for the evening, so MF and I will take you the rest of the way, and that's pretty much it. And it was also announced that next Monday night, when Monday Night Raw emanates from the IWC capital of the world, Chicago, AJ's coming back. MF business is going to indeed pick up in Chi-Town next week.
Oh yeah, AJ's been stewing for 2 weeks now. After all those comments that was made by Edge, we're finally going to get a rebuttal by the Phenomenal One. And let me tell you, you might see a different side of AJ Styles next week, a side that practically you probably have not seen in a long, long time. So get ready, Monday Night Raw. That's going to be wild next week.
Indeed it will. All right, next up, stop me if you've heard this before. Bianca Belair versus Doudrop. It happened again. Bianca Belair wins the match in an even 7 minutes. You're thinking big flipping deal. Wait. Becky Lynch shows up and wrapped her neck inside a steel chair and grabbed her by the hair and pulled the chair and all that. Kaboom.
Oof.
What do we always say, MF? Did you hear that?
Yeah. Did you feel it? Did you see it? Oh my God. That looked nasty. Very. That looked bad. I mean,
oof.
The 2 points of the chair, the two legs of the chair bends upward as she makes impact right into it. It looked scary. It looked bad. Fortunately for us, this is actually in storyline purposes. Bianca did suffer a neck injury. However, it's not like what happened with Big E. Just to let you guys know, this was more catered. This is more WWE kind of going. And they even mentioned it too, that she went to a medical facility. So you already know the bells and whistles. If you know how WWE likes to do their injury angles, whenever they say that they're going to a medical facility, not a hospital, that means that, yeah, it's definitely a storyline injury. We're probably not seeing Bianca Belair next week. And as a matter of fact, I don't think if I'm WWE, I will hold her off until the final Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania. Have her sell the injury now. We're 3 weeks. We're 3 weeks away. Have her sit out the next 2 weeks. The Monday before Mania, have her make a return.
2 weeks. 2 weeks is actually the go home show.
So yeah. So
next week you can sit her out.
Yeah, sit her out next week, and then have her come back for the go home,
in
or
Pittsburgh.
have her sit out all the way up to Mania.
That'd
Have
be
her,
interesting.
huh?
That'd be interesting.
Have her sit out all the way up to WrestleMania Saturday, because that's when it's going to happen. Have her sit out until Mania Saturday, and then you can do whatever you want. Because I'm pretty sure, or you could even have her back by the Friday, because she's going to be there for the Hall of Fame, obviously.
Yep.
Maybe have Montez speak on her behalf, just to sell it. Or you can figure it out. But one thing's for sure, just have her ready. She'll be ready by WrestleMania, folks. So
No doubt.
that's a guarantee. She'll be all right. It's just, how do you play this? For me, if I'm going to storyline this, sit out next week, come back the week after, the Monday before Mania, have her come back. No talking, no speaking segment, just maybe a little brawl just to whet the appetite with the fans one last time, just to get to Mania. That's all you really need. So nothing more to say. Yeah, that was scary, man. Scary sight, scary to see. Even though the match was about 2 stars, but the biggest thing that we're talking about more is, like we said, the post fight angle. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, definitely. Those two, Bianca and Doudrop, these two always work well together. So it's no surprise to see WWE book them in their 5th singles match over 4 months, in addition to other triple threat and tag bouts along the way. EST gets hit the KOD in another impressive show of power to get the win. Would have been nice to see the action during the break, but it was still a good performance for both competitors. I'm going to be a little more generous on MF. I'm going to give it 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star. And then we had a very interesting situation here. RK Bro comes out, has their celebration after winning the Raw, after regaining the Raw Tag Team Championship in that 5-star instant classic that we saw about to this day, even though it's only been a week, but still. And they get interrupted by the Street Profits. And the Street Profits challenged RK Bro to a Raw Tag Team Championship match at WrestleMania, which the Viper accepted. But there could be some more in that development. Get to that in a minute. It leads into a singles match. Riddle, one-on-one with Montez Ford. And unfortunately, the fight gets thrown out. It ends in a no contest, 9 minutes and 40 seconds. I know Michael Bullock would want us to give it an NA rating, but I'm not even mad at this finish, because it ended in a no contest because the former champions, Alpha Academy, showed up and they went after everybody. They took out both RK Bro and the Street Profits. So I'm going to give this in excess of 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5 stars. It was the second best fight of the night. There was one match that was better, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But 3 1/4, 3.5. I mean, it was a really, really good match. If you stick 2 versatile athletes in the ring together and give them enough time, they will almost always produce a positive result. This match was no exception. Both guys displayed power, agility, and creativity from start to finish. And the result may not be ideal for some, but the action leading up to it was entertaining. And like I said, 3 1/4 to 3.5 stars. But MF, there's only one thing. It is most certainly not going to be RK Bro versus the Street Profits in a straight up tag match. This is very likely going to lead to a triple threat match, and that match should be awesome.
Yeah. Alpha Academy coming out, basically torpedoing the match right before our very eyes. We kind of were like, oh, okay, we know where this is heading. So, yeah, there's no doubt about it in my mind. If we were thinking, oh, it's going to be maybe a regular one-on-one for the belts. Yeah, forget it. That just went out the door. So now it's Profit versus Alpha versus RK Bro. Um, the thing is, the funny part is that if you really think about it, RK Bro is so mega over, and normally the Profits, if you really think about it, they were working the heel angle in this tonight. You notice how they were kind of almost like
they kind of did.
They kind of were going there a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I mean, are they trying to turn the Profits heel? Is this maybe a one-off? Now that but with Alpha Academy back in, did they just kind of even it out where maybe you have RK Bro as the faces, you get really Alpha Academy are the true heels, and then maybe the Profits are probably in the middle right now where they could go either way. They're kind of more of a neutral. They're not faces, they're not heels, they're kind of in that quote unquote the gray area, as I would say. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. This just got very interesting, and all for the right to be the Raw Tag Team Champions going to WrestleMania. So I mean, yeah, this is gonna be very interesting to watch. Anthony, it's yours.
And then after that, they did the on the spot video tribute to Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. Just literally a couple of hours after his passing was announced at the start of the show, when they did the infamous "In Memory of" graphic. And like MF said, the way that they scrambled literally at the 11th hour to rush and put that beautiful video all together in such a short period of time, that's kudos to the production team. I mean, I know we give them a lot of flack nowadays. Of course, a certain someone, cuts ties. I mean, always bashes them whenever he gets the chance. But that was a damn good video, a beautiful video for Scott. And that was amazing. To do it in such a short period of time, they should be commended for that, without a doubt. Main event of the evening, Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. The winner gets the Stone Cold talk show segment at WrestleMania. Winner of the match, 16 minutes and 20 seconds. And keeping his WrestleMania spot with Stone Cold Steve Austin, it is Kevin Owens. MF, the KO show is still on at WrestleMania. But what does this mean for Seth freaking Rollins now?
Yeah, I mean, Rollins went for the gusto, thinking that was going to be his ticket to WrestleMania, and it's not. He gets denied at the gate again. What a match. Fight of the night. 4 to 4.25 stars for me. This was an excellent match. You heard the crowd yelling, "This is awesome, this is awesome." Yes, that was awesome. The body of work was incredible. The ring psychology, the match itself, it was rising to a crescendo. We had a great ending. Kevin Owens winning the match outright. Perfect way to close the show with undoubtedly an incredible main event. Rollins looking at that WrestleMania sign is like, man, what the heck do I have to do now to try to get in here? Now he has to go back to the drawing board. I don't know what Rollins is going to do. This is interesting to see. So, I mean, what are we going to get? I don't know. But one thing's for sure, Anthony, this was a heck of a match. Definitely worthy of two guys wanting to fight for WrestleMania, trying to be on the show. What you could see the desperation on both these guys wanting to be on the show of shows, to be at the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania. Owens gets there. Rollins not there yet. He'll get there eventually.
Oh, yes.
But right now, he's on the outside looking in.
Indeed he is. 100% agree with the rating. 4 to 4.25 stars. It didn't seem like either guy wanted to hurt the other. No, they told an interesting story in this match. They are two guys who don't want to fight each other, but are more than willing to fight for their spot at WrestleMania. It's the kind of angle we don't see too often in WWE because friends rarely face each other in professional wrestling without a title being involved. Visionary almost won several times before KO put him away with a Stone Cold Stunner to keep his spot at WrestleMania. Most assuredly, this was the fight of the night. No doubt about that. Kevin Owens continuing to question why they were doing this up until the bell rang was funnier than it should have been. He's really great at adding little extra things to his performance to make himself stand out. Owens, one of the best at talking trash during his matches. You can always hear what he says, and it's almost always funny. KO used the fall-away slam to send Rollins into the barricade. Clearly another tribute to Scott Hall. Rollins has one of the best suicide dives in professional wrestling. That's not up for debate. And that's really all there is to say there. So 4 to 4.25 stars, 100% agree with the rating. Fight of the night. And with that, overall thoughts, another solid show on the road to WrestleMania. We got, now that this show has concluded, we only have 2 Raws left. Next Monday night from the IWC, capital of the world, Chicago, Illinois. And then, of course, the following week after that, the go-home show, which will be in Pittsburgh. So we'll see what happens with these final 2 Monday Night Raws leading into the big show. Fight of the night, hands down, was the main event. Second best fight, even with the clunky finish, it was Riddle and Montez Ford. You had a couple of other good things here and there. Thriller that we had a week ago. But for me, I still say 6.5 for this edition of Monday Night Raw tonight. Small step back, but still another solid edition. One of the big pluses was they didn't overload on filler. We didn't get any 24/7 silliness, so that's a plus. So that's really all I can say on it. So 6.5, MF taking home. Mef, are you there?
Yeah, okay. It's about a 6. I totally agree with what you just said. So, Anthony, I'll just give it to you.
Yeah. With that, we are we're gonna put the bow on this latest edition. One of the rare emotionally charged episodes of this show here tonight. But I'm gonna do it. I'm about to do this in as I normally would. But we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. I know you're expecting a Tony's Take, but because of the emotion of tonight, we're just gonna end the show here. So but I promise you all, I will have a Tony's Take for you all next week on this program. So with that, we want to thank you all so very much for tuning in here tonight. We'll be back with you all on Wednesday night at our usual 10:30 start time, MF, unless you want to start earlier. But I'm sure it'll be at our usual start time. Wednesday Night Mayhem, NXT 2.0, AEW Dynamite as always. Thursday, we got Strictly Sports. Tom Brady coming out of retirement. He's coming back for one more season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll get into that. Big trade in Major League Baseball. Blockbuster trade between my New York Yankees and the Minnesota Twins. We're going to get into that. Get into some other free agent news in the world of Major League Baseball and the NFL, and only the notable stuff. And then in the main event, of course, we'll be starting our coverage of the NCAA tournament, game coverage, that is. Run down the results of earlier in the day, and maybe if it calls for it, maybe we'll even do some live commentary. So if there's a close game or an upset alert or any of that. So So we'll do that on Thursday, and then Friday, of course, Cerebral Smack Talk. Now, MF, I have to let you know about a programming note. AEW Rampage on Friday night is going to be starting very late because of NCAA tournament coverage on TNT. They're slated for 11:30, but it's also saying immediately following the tournament game. So I'm thinking we just might have it just might be a SmackDown review on Friday night, unless you can find something for our Mikey's Mindset or something to cover for it on Friday. Or maybe we just started earlier, considering maybe around 10:30 or so on Friday night. We'll put our heads together on that. And then next Monday night, of course, back here for Ridiculously Raw as we get closer and closer to the two-night stupendous WrestleMania 38. So with that being said, that's it. So until Wednesday night, for Wednesday Night Mayhem, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, the Phenom Michael Bullock, and of course, the Twisted Angel and the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson. And as you see in the graphic there, for the final time tonight, if you missed the top of the show, Scott Hall, best known as Razor Ramon, passing away earlier this evening at the age of 63. And we paid our respects here tonight as only we could. So there isn't anything left to say. So we'll just park this here. So until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Mayhem, you know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Mayhem, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And as I always say, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye. The Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, we simply say one more time, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for Scott Hall. Rest in peace, brother. Godspeed. Good night.